Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's devotional. Just a short devotional for you today from Psalm 46. This entire psalm is about God taking care of his people, and I think it's particularly applicable given the storm in Florida and so forth. Starting in verse 1, this psalm is broken down ultimately into three parts, and you'll see the designation between those three. To the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah, a song for Alamoth. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be moved, or be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling. Selah. Selah, the term seems to mean to stop and consider. And three times the psalmist uses this term throughout this psalm to designate almost, I guess you could say, different verses of almost like verses of a hymn. This first stanza or this first verse shows the power of God over nature. How that God is our refuge and strength, present help in trouble. Though the earth be removed, mountains carried into the sea, the waters roar, mountains shake. What seems to be brought out here is specifically nature, and certainly we're familiar with that concept. But the fact that God is our refuge, He is our protection, He is our strength, He is our help in times of trouble. Then the next verse, verse 4, or the next stanza, I guess you could say, there is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. The second verse seems to emphasize the fact that God takes care of his people. Verse 4, there's a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God. And we could go really in depth into this and kind of look at the different elements of it. But ultimately, it's imagery describing the protection that God provides. Because he describes the city of God, of course, we know that's Jerusalem, and then the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. He doesn't say temple. He says the tabernacle of the Most High, where God dwells. God is in the midst of her. Oh, where is he in the midst of? He's in the midst of the people of God, the city of God. And she shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. Just no matter what is taking place, nations raging, kingdoms being moved, he utters his voice and the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Stop and consider. God takes care of his people. He knows what his people are dealing with and facing, and God takes care of them. And then finally, verse 8, come behold the works of the Lord, who has made desolations in the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariot in the fire. Verse 10, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. And just as verse 7, it's the exact same statement as verse 11. But the point here in this third stanza, I guess you could say, is the fact that as the consideration of what other nations are doing, making war against Israel or the enemies of Israel, God has power over that as well. And God speaks in verse 10, I believe, to his people by telling them, be still and know that I am God. And it's a reminder that God is in control. That no matter what's happening, whether it's issues with nature that's taking place, well, God is our very present help in time of trouble. A reminder that God knows who his people are and he is going to take care of his people. He knows what troubles are facing us. He knows what enemies may be surrounding us. And yet God, throughout all of that, he tells us, and this is the only time where God speaks here in this psalm, be still and know that I am God. I am in control. This term, be still, it means to be at peace, to cease. And given the context being kind of the heart and minds of the people, a reminder of what God has done and is capable of doing, this is not just be still physically, it's be still in your soul, be still at peace, and know that I am God. And certainly the recognition of application for us to recognize that God is in control. And no matter what's happening in this world, in the flesh, God is still in control. And that God will still take care of his people. Even when physical maladies come and disaster strike, God still is taking care of his people. And our souls and our spirits will be taken care of by God. All right, that's the devotional for you today. Lord willing, our next daily devotional will be tomorrow at 6:30. Hope to see you all then. Thank you, everybody.